Welcome to the Rational Egoist. Our guest today is a business consultant, entrepreneur, political activist, and has twice ran for governor on the Libertarian ticket in New York. Welcome, Larry Sharpe.
Hey, how are you, my friend? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Not as happy as I am. So let me just get right to it. You seem like a pretty successful guy. You could have a pretty good life. And he also a Marine, by the way. Why run for political office?
It is a great question. And I wasn't planning to. I really wasn't. But being in New York, I started getting tired of New York and the oppressive, environment that New York State is. It is oppressive in many ways. It literally breaks up families. My mom couldn't afford to retire here in New York State. So she packed up and moved to South Carolina. And she did that when I already had two kids. So I had kids. She basically lost her grandkids. Now going to see her was now a challenge. Having her to share my family with her was a challenge. And now for me to see her, then she got sick. And it was, I didn't get to spend my last days with her. And everything was just bad because she was so far away and she didn't want to move. She couldn't afford to stay. And I got upset and I didn't like it. So I said, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm leaving too. So I'm going to pack up and go. So for what I do as a consultant, I have to be around a big city. Otherwise, I can't make money, right? I pay my bills by consulting with big companies. That's how I pay most of my bills. So I thought, all right, I'll go down south. I'll go to Charlotte because Charlotte's a big city, North Carolina. I'll go there. That'll be fine. So I went to North Carolina and I realized I could sell my shoebox, my matchbook of a house here in Queens, right? And buy a mansion in North Carolina and everything would be better and less taxes, the whole deal. But instead of me moving, I got angry. And I said, why does my beautiful state, and for those of you who are listening who don't know, New York is a beautiful state. There's so much good stuff in New York, from mountains to rivers to lakes to oceans to beaches to Broadway and sports and hunting and fishing and whatever you like, New York State has, right?
Are they paying you?
No, it's true. I'm born here. I love New York. So instead of me moving, I got mad. And I said, I'm going to go back. I'm going to run for governor. And I'm going to fix this goddamn state. Michael, that did not go as planned. But that was the plan. The plan was I'm going to go back and I'm going to run and I'm going to fix this and blah, blah, blah. And when I ran, the worst part about running was actually beginning to see how bad the system was, how rigged it was, how it was all about money, and other issues that made me really angry is most of the people, not most, I'm exaggerating. It felt like most, probably at least a third of the elected officials that I met actively hated their constituents. I don't mean didn't care, hated them. These are the people who they pretend to like, the people who vote for them, they hate them. This is why they gerrymander all the districts, because they don't want to actually talk to their constituents. They hate them. So they don't want to talk to them. They have grifting to do. They have money to make. And now these damn voters want like roads fixed or something. Getting in my way. I got money to make here. My job is to make cash. So they're all trying to grift and give money to their friends, and they hate the constituents. And when I saw that, I was just angry. I thought that's not what it's supposed to be. And I was Michael, I was naive. I knew there was some pieces of garbage in politics. I knew that. I wasn't that naive. The amount and the level of vitriol shocked me. It was the amount that shocked me. I knew there was some pieces of garbage. I was aware of that. But oh my God, it was like a third of them who just hated the people, didn't want to talk, didn't care, never wanted to fix anything. It was literally like a shock to me. And the pay to play. This is a true story. I couldn't get in the polls. And I was the official Libertarian candidate. I was, on the ballot, raised six figures. Well, I was on Joe Rogan. I mean, I was on the biggest podcast in the world, right? I couldn't get in the polls. So my team just called up, hey, polling company. I'm not joking. We just called them. Why am I not in the polls? They went, oh, well, you don't buy the polls. I said, what? They went, yeah, just buy the poll, put you in. So I got to buy the poll to get in. They went, yeah. And it wasn't like they were hiding it, right? This wasn't like they were hiding it or trying to go behind. They were like, no, that's how it works. Buy the poll, you're in the poll. So, oh, well, how much does the poll cost? $40,000.
$40,000?
Correct. You want to get like one of them Gallup polls, one of those big deal polls, 40 grand. Well, of course I can't. I'm a third party. How the hell am I going to afford 40 grand?
That's enough money maybe to buy a house down in, where'd you say, North Carolina?
That's correct. Yes,
Just
that's pay to
move.
play. But it gets worse. So then I go, okay, maybe I can't in the polls. But look, why is the media not covering me? Why won't the local station cover me, right? So we called them up. Why aren't you covering me? They went, oh, you don't buy ads. What? You don't buy ads. Buy ads will cover you. It's blatant pay to play. And again, I knew, to be forward, I knew money was important in politics. I had no idea how much it was. It is literally pay to play. You get your ad space, then they introduce you to the political reporter. Wow. Like, wow.
You know, you mentioned the system being rigged, and a thought immediately came to my head about the media. And then you mentioned the media, they wouldn't cover you. Maybe, I don't know, a month ago, I became the spokesperson for the Libertarian Party of Connecticut. Now, I also spent a considerable amount of time in prison, just got out 4 months ago. So even if you're not interested in hearing the libertarian perspective, you would think just the fact that they've got somebody as a spokesperson that just got out of prison would be a story. But I've contacted all the local stations, the local newspapers, everybody. Nobody cares. And I'm just like, are they trying to protect Republicans and Democrats? But I just don't think it's that insidious. See, I don't think so.
No,
I'm with
it is,
Napoleon.
but let me tell you why. Hold on. Yes, but let me tell you why. Because Republicans and Republican PACs and Democrats and Democratic PACs buy ads on these stations year round, year round, year round. So they have two choices. Take your story and maybe piss them off. Take your couple $1,000 and maybe piss them off, or shut you out and keep them happy. Literally, this is not, they don't care about Republicans and Democrats. They care about their customers. And sadly, those are customers. This is just customers. And those customers will punish them. That's why they don't do it.
Wow.
Let me give you an example. If you ever watched like a Sunday morning TV show, and there'll be, I remember this is years ago, but I'll give you this example I'm talking about. There'll be a commercial for a company that sells nothing to the public. For example, years ago, it was a Kerr McGee. Kerr McGee, for those who don't know, they make offshore oil platforms. That's what they make. Nobody watched TV in the morning and goes, you know what I need? Another offshore platform. Let me go right now and buy one. No one does that. So advertising on that station has zero commercial value. No one's buying an offshore platform from watching a TV show. So why do they buy the ads? To control the narrative. If I'm spending millions of dollars over the course of a month or so to buy ads in your station, you're not going to talk bad about the oil company because I'll pull my ads. This is common.
It's worse than I thought.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Why would you? I'm paying millions of dollars in ads for a product nobody can buy, right? Literally, nobody goes, damn, that's what I need, an offshore oil platform. No one does that, yet they were spending millions of dollars. That's a common thing. If you ever watch a show, you see a commercial and you go, who the hell buys that? They're controlling the narrative.
That actually kind of brings me to my next question. Why choose to run as a libertarian? I mean, I understand that there's the philosophical stuff, but I mean, Ron Paul has run as a Republican.
Yep.
Rand Paul is a Republican. You know, Justin Amash formerly ran as a Republican. So you can run as a Republican, but you chose to go libertarian.
Hold on. Let me ask you right now. It's a good question. Let me ask you an important question. How good is the Republican Party right now?
Well, I'm not the one supposed to be answering the questions, but they suck.
Yes. Yes. That's why it doesn't work. Yes. Does it get you? The reason why Justin Amash left the party and stopped doing it is because he realized something. And I'm going to say it, and if he thinks I'm wrong, he can correct me, but I know why he did it. Because why bother? He can sit there and tweet, or he can stay home with his family and tweet. That's all he can do is tweet. He can't make a change. The system is broken. Nothing's going to change. Does Thomas Massey make change? No. I love Thomas Massey. I know Thomas Massey. I picture him. I love him. Whenever he comes up, I try to spend time with him whenever I can. I love Thomas Massey. He ain't making no change. Rand Paul, that much maybe, but not even. So because there's no impact. Let me ask you something. If I had run as a Republican Number one, Republicans would have never let me run because I'm not Republican enough for them, right? I'm Libertarian. So they would have never let me run. I know because I asked them. I asked them to let me run their primary, and their answer was, Larry, we're going to take $100,000 out of our campaign and sue you off the ballot. That was their response. I literally said, let me run in your primary. I will win your primary. And in New York State, we have a very special situation. In New York State, we're what's called a fusion state. A fusion state means in my state, and this is very rare, you can do like in New Hampshire, and maybe one of the states possible, and then New York State. It's very rare. I can, in my state, run on multiple lines. I can run as Republican, as Libertarian, as conservative, as Democrat, forward party, and have my name listed 5 times, and all the votes count towards me. That is legal in New York State. I know
Connecticut has the same
what
thing.
The hell?
I'm pretty sure Connecticut has the same thing.
So we can do that, right? So I said, let me run in your primary. If I win your primary, I get Libertarian line, Republican line, conservative line. This is a winnable race. At this point, it's winnable because I know Democrats vote for me. In 2018, 25% of the people who voted for me were registered Democrats. So I know Democrats vote for me. No, Democrats don't vote for Republicans. They hate Republicans, right? So they don't vote for Republicans. They hate them. But they vote for me. So I said, let me do it. And they went, wow. By the way, I was polling at 6% before I announced in 2021. I hadn't announced yet. I was already polling 6%. How do I know? I learned my lesson. I was buying polls early. I learned my lesson from 2018, so I had enough money to buy polls in 2021. So I was buying polls early so I could be in the poll, right? So I knew in the polls I was buying, I was polling at 6%. So polling at 6% as an independent party, as a Libertarian in a deep blue New York State, before I even announced, oh my God, I could have made impact. And the Republican answer was, we will sue you off the ballot to make sure you can't even be in the game. So why would I run Republican? Because of that, I wouldn't run Republican. But more importantly, let's say that I actually win as a Republican. What has changed? Nothing. But if I actually come in second as a Libertarian, the entire country's changed.
It's funny you asked me about Republicans. The other day I was listening to a Connecticut talk show. Well, it goes beyond Connecticut, but based in Connecticut, the Todd Feinberg show. And he had on as a guest Ben Proto, who is the chairman of the Connecticut Republican Party. And he said on the air, he said, we've got to get back to being restrained by our founding documents. You know, as it says in those documents, by the people, for the people, of the people. I don't know the exact quote. The problem is, first of all, that's not in the founding documents. It's from the Gettysburg Address. So we have the chairman of the Republican Party citing something that doesn't know where he says he is. So anyways, I called in and I asked him and I said, why would we ever trust the Republican Party to hold the government within the constraints of the founding documents when they've never done so? 2 examples I gave him were qualified immunity, which they all support, even though it's a judicial creation and they're supposed to hate judicial activism, and the war on drugs, which nowhere in Article 1, Section 8 does it authorize the federal government to be involved in. His answer was, in relation to the judicial activism, that sometimes judicial law creation is a good thing, which is totally against what conservatives say they believe. And then he said the war on drugs is authorized by numerous documents. There's only one that matters, the Constitution. I don't know what other documents there are. And as far as judicial creation being a good thing, and I'm just thinking to myself, this guy just basically admitted everything that I'm thinking about them anyways. They are not principled at all. So I completely understand why you wouldn't want to be involved with them. But
the second piece, I'll be clear. Democrats are horrible too.
Oh,
I want to make sure they're terrible also.
Yes.
The difference though in this case is, in this case, Democrats are more honest about being bad. Like they will just openly say, no. Constitution, that's dumb. Who cares about that piece of paper? The Democrats are just openly anti-constitutional. That at least you know what you're getting when they're terrible, right? They're like, Constitution, those aren't rights. Those are privileges. You're lucky to get any of them. That's how Democrats think. So that's one
a good
part.
point, where the Republicans actually use the rhetoric as if they're pro-Constitution, pro-capitalism, But then in practice, it's another thing altogether. But
Absolutely.
I'm glad you didn't let the Democrats slide. It's funny because
No.
whenever I criticize Democrats, I get accused of being a Republican. And whenever I criticize Republicans, I get accused of being a Democrat. But
Right.
I try to be equal in my criticism because, quite frankly, they both suck. So
Yes, I always say the Republicans are the party of no ideas. The Democrats are the party of bad ideas.
I like that. I might have to steal it from you.
Yes.
I hope
Please take it.
it's not copyrighted, is it?
I'm a libertarian. I don't care about that stuff. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. So, tell me about the viability of a third party.
Yes.
What are the chances? Can they win? Can they not win?
Mhm.
What are the chances?
Yep. The how I know the odds are going up are two things. Here's how I know the odds are going up. Don't get me wrong, the odds are still slim because the system is set up for parties. By the way, parties also not in the Constitution. Parties also completely fabricated, and now they run everything. All of that's unconstitutional. We should abolish all of that stuff, right? It's the parties.
Hold on. You're saying that political parties are unconstitutional.
Correct. They're not in the Constitution.
Well, here I was prepared to have you on and have a nice discussion, and now you're going to force me to debate with you, Larry. I didn't want to do this. You're on my side.
I don't mind. They're unconstitutional. Yes.
And
what I mean by that is, can you have a political party? Of course you can. It is your right to assemble. It's your right to get. Of course it is. But can that political party decide who goes on the ballot? No, that's unconstitutional. Can the political party decide ballot access laws? No, that's unconstitutional. Of course not. And that's what happens. The political parties decide the election law. That is unconstitutional. Can you have a party? Of course. Why can't you have a party? It's First Amendment. Of course you can.
Okay.
But the political parties literally decide election law and bar other parties and bar other people from getting on the ballot, from having rights, from voting. All of those things. Those are all done by political party apparatus. That is unconstitutional.
Well, I think that there's two problems with your argument. One is that the Constitution delegates the voting laws to the states. And secondly, it says that in the 10th Amendment, anything not mentioned specifically in the Constitution is delegated to the states.
Correct.
If the states have a right, according to the Constitution, to decide who gets on their ballots and what the criteria are. And I believe.
So then how is it okay for a state to decide what this, my point is, that a state decides that every single member of that state, every resident has to pay taxes. And then those taxes then go only to the political parties that the political parties decide are correct. The people running the Board of Elections are leaders of the political parties, not leaders selected by the people, or even selected by the governor, or even selected by the assembly. There is literally no recourse. We, the people, have no recourse on who heads the party. Only the party does. And those party heads make the rules. That is unconstitutional.
Okay, so your argument is that the way in which they allow parties to dictate elections within the state is unconstitutional. 100%. Your original statement was that parties were unconstitutional.
I should have been clearer. Parties are not in the Constitution.
That is true. That is very true.
That's what I'll say. Maybe I said that incorrectly. What I meant was parties are not part of the Constitution. So you individually can create any party you want, but those parties should have no power when it comes to deciding how someone gets in the ballot. A state can say if they want to get in the ballot, you have to be 35 years old in our state, right? And be living in a state for 5 years. Totally fine. That's fine. That's the party, that an individual, but they don't. They go, you must be, if you're part of this party, you get on. Part of that party, you get on. If you're the top two parties, you control this. If you're the top that party, you control that. How is that okay? Now, unless you're going to tell me that the assembly or the governor or someone elected by the people selects who's on top of all the parties. In that case, in theory, not in practice, but in theory, we'd have some say over it. We don't. Party bosses decide everything. They gerrymander districts. They decide everything.
But can't a state lawfully within the bounds of the Constitution make it a requirement, for instance, that you get 10,000 signatures in order to get on the ballot?
Sure.
So that would be okay. Now, if a political party automatically has
I've never fought that.
But this is what I'm saying. So if a political party already has that 10,000 signatures, it's automatic. Whatever candidate they're putting up is going to have that kind of support. Wouldn't it then be okay to grant them ballot access in that way? But if a party doesn't
Only
have that
if
kind of support, not allow
if
them
they
on there?
weren't grandfathered in, yes. The problem is they're all grandfathered in. You're saying, well, they already got it when they get it. They didn't.
Oh, okay.
They just
I
had
got
it.
you.
They,
I got you.
they make all the rules and grandfather the old parties in. If you're going to say anybody on the ballot, no matter what it is, I don't care if you're part of a party or not, you must do X. Completely fair.
Okay. I got you.
Totally fair. But they never do that. Every single time I go, the two parties are grandfathered in. Now, oh, you guys fight.
You have to come in fresh. So
And
it's
my
almost
point
like
is-
it's almost, well, maybe it is an equal protection claim. Whereas
That's exactly, yes.
okay. All right.
Now, here's the problem, to be very forward with you. The guy who was running against me was a guy named Lee Zeldin here in New York State. He is a sitting congressman, a Republican. He couldn't get on the ballot as an independent. He was the sitting Republican candidate for the Republican Party for governor, and he was a sitting congressman. He couldn't get it, but he got grandfathered in because he's Republican. My point is, if they had the rules they had for me, we'd had no candidates for governor. I'm not joking.
Okay.
We would have had no candidates for governor. It is
Okay.
impossible to get in the ballot now. So that is my point on parties. If you're gonna say you have to do X, Y, you got to jump on, stand on your head for 3 minutes and sip down a Coke. Fine, okay, I got it. But then everybody has to do it, and I'm okay.
Okay. I think I can buy into that. I don't know enough about the local situations to give you an all out endorsement, but you made a pretty good case. So I'm going to go with it. So what are your,
But I want to cover your answer though. I want to answer your question.
okay.
You said, what are the odds of the
Yes.
third party winning?
Yes.
So let me go down that road. I think there are two reasons why I think we have a better chance. Number one is how aggressive the two parties have been throwing us off the ballot across the country. They have been in court in almost every other state, making it harder, throwing us off the ballot. I was in court 9 times in my state. Alabama, they were in court. Texas, they were in court. They are going out of their way to throw us off the ballot because they're afraid. They know that the non-affiliate voter base is growing. People realize that their parties suck, that even if you're a Republican, you don't get what you want. If you're a Democrat, you don't get what you want. So no matter what you do, you don't get what you want. That's step one. Piece two, Andrew Yang's Forward Party. Andrew Yang is a mainstreamer. All of his people are all mainstreamers. He raised $130 million last year. And it's a Forward Party. They don't even have a platform. I'm not joking. I'm not against Forward. I'm happy Forward's doing their work. More third parties, the better, right? Good luck. Hope they become awesome. Good for them. But my point is, they raised $130 million. They don't have a platform. They're mainstream and they're making money. That tells me not only is the average person hungry, but other heavy hitters hungry. We also have the no labels movement. That movement is also starting to explode. They raised over $100 million. So when you can start raising that kind of money and get mainstreamers in, that means third party is on its way. Is that next year? Is the year after? I actually don't know, to be forward with you. I don't know, but eventually have to crack. They are going to crack this eventually. I hope it's soon. Is it Libertarian Party? I don't know. I want it to be us, right? Of all the older third parties, all have fallen away. Green Party's fallen away. Conservative Party's fallen away. They've all fallen away. Only the Libertarian Party is holding on to the best of our ability. So if Forward or no labels cracks open third party, if Libertarian Party can still be there, we can jump in that hole and we can actually be able to break through. We'll be part of the mix. That is my hope. I don't know when. So right now, odds are still very slim. I don't see a third party having a real foothold in this country. Earliest 2028. Earliest having a foothold in the country. Maybe. That depends on how much money's raised, how bad the other guys are. I mean, the Republican Democratic Party, the culture war is destroying us, and they only fight culture war. They don't solve anything. They just fight culture war.
Well, it's not
And
in their
eventually-
interest to solve it, right?
Correct.
It's in their interest to keep it going so they can just keep bickering back and forth and getting elected.
Absolutely. So eventually the country either falls into civil war or a third party pops up. One reason why I keep fighting, and people ask me all the time, why do you keep fighting? Just give up. Just pack up, move to Florida, and stop. Just quit. And I feel that myself all the time. But I believe in my heart, and maybe I'm crazy or wrong, but I still believe it, that the only answer for this country is a third party. Because if you have two people who are bickering so much, you need a mediator, or they keep bickering until eventually they break off or fight each other, right? I don't want either of those two things for this country, because we aren't like the old Civil War with North and South. Our problem is rural versus urban, which means every single state fights. Every state fights, right? Well, it's going to be New York, the blue state, against whatever, Virginia, the red state. That's not true. All the cities in Virginia are blue, and all the country areas in New York State are red. So it's an urban versus rural issue. This isn't like a big issue like it was in 1860. It's different. I don't want that. I think it's a terrible. National divorce is a fantasy. We are too balkanized. It's not going to happen. We are too balkanized. It can't work anymore. What do you Georgia's going to become a red state? It's got like 2 Democratic senators. What are you talking about? Atlanta's as blue as possible. Atlanta's blue, and it's the biggest city. What are you going to do? Right? That's a fantasy.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you your thoughts on secession, but you preempted my question. But I will tell you, I had a debate with a libertarian about secession, and I made the same point you did. Well, what are you going to do? These people are interspersed within communities, and you're going to end up violating your own principles. You're going to secede and take them with you when they don't want to go, and now you're doing to them what you're claiming is being done to you. It doesn't make any sense at all.
The answer is localism. That's the answer. Localism is the answer.
See, I'm not going to say I disagree with that, but I believe that the answer is liberty. Because you could have local tyranny just like you could have statewide tyranny.
Hold on. Yes, but I have an answer for this one. Yes. What was supposed to happen, Michael, and didn't happen, and it's not happening, but what's supposed to happen? What's supposed to happen, one reason why we have a Second Amendment, is that the state or the federal government protects our rights, then we protect ourselves. That's what's supposed to happen. That's not happening, right? So in the same vein, what I want, I talk about this when I cross the all the time, the state government has its fingers in everything. So the local bully, which is, there's always a local bully, is enforcing the king's will. So why would the king stop the local bully? The king told him to do it. But when you're really localized, the state government should only be doing one thing. It should be protecting the rights of the citizens. So when the local bully happens, they can go to the state and go, hey, local bully is getting me. And the state steps in to save the local person, right? I literally said, when I'm governor, I will have an office of the pardon for that. For when people are scammed and hammered by local people who just have an axe to grind, the lawyers go to us and we investigate everything to see if we should be pardoning people. I don't want to pardon people while I'm leaving. I want to pardon people while I'm governor. Right? It's while I'm governor, right? And I want to teach the people who are doing the bad stuff, you're not going to get away with it. I'm pardoning right away, and I'm putting you on blast. I'm pardoning and putting you on blast. Everyone's going to know what a piece of garbage judge you are if you're a bad judge, and there are tons of bad judges, right? They're going to know. Bad prosecutors. They're going to know off the bat. Yeah. This is what this guy's doing. He's putting people in jail for no reason. Everyone's going to know.
So localism at its best is like voting at its best. I mean, the ideal, it's a means to preserve liberty.
Correct.
Liberty is the most important thing, right? Now, here's the thing. I personally, I think, and I think our history shows it, there's a very strong libertarian streak that runs through America. It's in our founding documents. I think it's in our rebellious nature. I think there's a lot of people that maybe don't identify that way, but when you ask them questions, like they have that, I forget what it's called, but there's that little political test where they see what your affiliation.
World's smallest political quiz.
Yes. And the people I know, and it's a very small sample, got it. But when they take it, they come out libertarian. And I think that a big problem with libertarians and the liberty movement in general is one of messaging. And I've only been out here 4 months, but what I've seen so far is that the liberty-minded people would rather spend time fighting each other over the most minutest things. Like, well, you put this word here and it belongs. It's like, come on. You've got statists running the society. Fight them. If we can agree to get rid of the minimum wage, let's all agree to it. Let's get rid of it instead of focusing on, whatever. I don't even know, but it just aggravates the hell out of me because it's a hard enough fight to begin with. Never mind when you're going to all fight one another instead of fighting the people that are ruining the country and the planet.
Yep. Look, I'm with you. You don't see me in any of those fights. You don't see me in those fights ever because you're right there. I don't care. Right. Oh, if it was up to me, and it's not, but if it was, the Libertarian National Party would not have a platform. It would just have the preamble, and that's it. And let everyone else do what they got to do. Preamble, that's it. It would focus on one thing only: ballot access for local candidates. That's all it would do. That's not what we do. That's not how we work. And we fight over shit. It's stupid. I don't want to do it. Right. But that's what it should be in my view. I'm on your side. Make it simple. The preamble is the entire thing. And then focus on ballot access and let candidates do their thing and activists do their thing. I think that would be better. But to your other point, right? Are people libertarian? You might not know this, but my sponsor for my show is the Advocates for Self-Government. They're the ones who run that quiz.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's how I know it, right? I promote it on my show, almost every show. I talk about it. Go take a survey, go take a quiz. I do it every time on my show because they're my sponsor. So I know it very well. We have data on all the people who've taken the test over the course of decades. What you may not know is the number one is not libertarian. The number one is moderate. Most Americans are actually moderate, but the second is libertarian. The smallest one is authoritarian. However, here's the bad news, Michael, which you probably knew, but you probably don't want to hear. Authoritarian has been growing these last 10 years. More and more Americans are becoming authoritarian. In fact, I don't know if you pay attention to my social media at all, but people will often post their results in my Twitter account of when they take a test, they'll post it. People proudly post authoritarian. They're not ashamed or embarrassed or shocked by it. They're like, yeah, we just had a good king, that make things better. There are people in America who are happy that the government exists. They're strong, they're hardcore statists, and they wish they had a king as long as it was their king. They just want their king and they'll be good. So yes, you're right. I just think it's as much as you might think. Most libertarians think, I hear it all the time, most Americans are libertarian. They're not. Most Americans love government. They think government's the right answer. And one of the reasons is because of urbanization. Cities make people left. And since 2008, there's been virtually no recovery outside of cities. In fact, about 80% of all new jobs have come out of 20 US cities. So if you want a job, you're going to a US city. That's where you're going. So you're leaving the rural areas, going into urban areas. I think now, if I remember my stats right, 50% of all Americans live in some type of urbanized area now. So as you urbanize the population, you make the population more left. They're going lefter and more authoritarian. They just want someone to take charge and fix stuff. We are literally creating an environment for strong men to take over. One of two things happens in this regard: socialism or strong man. And socialism is just one step from a strong man, right? So socialism is a slower way to strong man, but they're both strong men, right? They always end in dictatorship, right? That's how it ends, dictatorship. The question is, do we just give it over to the king, or we wait for the king to kind of use socialism as an excuse to become king? But either way, it goes to king. And that's where we're on our way to that. The right will just go, here's the king. The left will go, we'll be socialism, then king. So I want to stop that.
So you think that it's been 10 years that authoritarianism has been growing? I think it's been about 247 years.
No, I meant from the test.
Yes. Okay. I got you.
I meant specifically from the test. Like that's data that we have.
Oh, okay.
But yes, you are correct. I'm just saying the test has been around for 247 years. So yes, you are right, but the test has been around that long. So what we know is 10 years.
All right, beautiful. So before I let you go, I've got to talk to you about this. You take a special interest in a subject very near and dear to my heart: prison reform.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
One, what sparked your interest in prison reform? And two, 3 changes you would like to see to the prison system.
I have a very odd situation here where my father was a corrections officer at Rikers Island, and my mother was a convicted felon. So I've seen both sides of this. I have seen both sides of this. I visited prisons. I've had friends who've gone to jail. friends whose lives have been ruined. And I know corrections officers who've committed suicide. So the system is completely broken, not just for prisoners, but also for corrections officers. In New York State, I can't speak outside of New York State. I know New York State. I'm assuming it's the same outside, but I could be wrong. The unions in New York State for corrections officers are not as strong as other states. It's still strong, but not as strong. Corrections officers, as a general rule, their life expectancy is 58 years old. Almost all of them that knows, not all, almost all of them, every corrections officer I've ever met knows exactly how many years he has left to retire. Everyone I've met knows someone who's committed suicide. Everyone. That is 100% my experience. And I've met hundreds of them. And every one of them has those two things. Now look at prisoners. Prisoners are unhappy. They keep going back to jail. The family members are distraught. They can't fix their people. They can't get their families back together. Once you're arrested in New York State, your family's broken forever. So the families are destroyed. The prisons are destroyed. These guys go back to the life because there's no choice. They don't know any better. There's no option for them. They get, to your point, you've mentioned before, they don't get any real training. They get fake training, which is now used against them.
Yeah.
When you got the fake training, why didn't you do well? Because it's fake training.
Yeah. Why
So
didn't you take advantage of it?
well.
Yeah.
Yes, we gave you the fake training. It's not real. Right? So of course it doesn't work. But they use it against you, put you back in jail. And the parole system is a goddamn joke. Most of the time in the parole system in New York State, people go back in jail, not because they've done something bad. They go back to jail for a minor timing infraction. That is about 80% of the time that people go back in jail. So I was supposed to be see my parole officer at 6. I saw him at 6:15, back in jail. That's how the parole system works. We don't think about parole system. It's even worse. So there is no way that this is a good system. The prisoners suffer. The prisoners' families suffer. The COs suffer. The CO's families suffer. And no one seems to care. So I would like the entire thing revamped. I wish you could change everything, right? Forget mandatory minimums, mandatory maximums, right? Let's change everything, right? Let's shift everything. Let's make it, and this is what I say all the time. I am only okay with a privatized prison system if only one thing is true. Because a privatized prison system, if not done the right way, will be a disaster. It will simply be slave labor. That's what will happen.
Absolutely.
It's already happening already. That's another thing. There's already slave labor in our current system already. So it'll just be slave labor. They have to be given bonuses based upon success. Now, success can equal one of 3 things on how you set that contract up. A person is employed. A person graduates from a certain school or trade school or whatever credential that you decide. Or 3, a person begins a business with backing from a financial institution. One of those 3.
Oh, man, excuse me.
And every time that happens, the company is rewarded. Larry, that's crazy. That's not crazy. That's called recruiting. Literally, it's a system right now that's happening. The recruiting industry is paid that way. The example already exists. People know how to do it, and they can do it. You make that happen, you change the prison system, right? That's a critical piece. It shouldn't be about punishment. It should be about people getting a second chance. The parole system should also change. The parole system should be about, how do I get somebody back out into the street in a positive way? Parole system should also be rewarded by people who no longer need to come back. Now, you might go, Larry, when they're on parole, we got to watch them. No, not crazy at all. No, I don't want insane. I don't want you to make their life impossible. Put them back in jail then. Just put them back in jail. But Larry, these people are dangerous. Then why'd you let them out? When you let somebody out, they get a second chance at life, or don't let them out. Both of them are okay. I accept either one of those answers. But you can't put somebody out and then handcuff them and put one arm behind their back and then blame them for failures. No, give them a chance of success. Oh, leave them in. What does that mean? Well, Larry, they got a vote? Yes. Can they have a gun? They have to defend themselves? Yes. It is, I'll use again. Here, I mean unconstitutional. It is unconstitutional to put someone on parole and not let them vote. That is taxation without representation. It is unconstitutional to put somebody back on the street and not let them defend themselves. Some of them are going to tough neighborhoods. They better defend themselves. You put them back into the ghetto. Well, I call the ghetto when I'm old. It's called the ghetto. Now it's called the hood.
You can't do
Whatever.
that anymore.
You put them back in, yeah, whatever. You put them in the hood, or whatever you want to call it, and you don't let them defend themselves. They get a Second Amendment right also, of course, or leave them in jail. Well, Larry, they're criminals. They're dangerous. Then they're going to get an illegal gun because they're criminals. As you say, they're going to get an illegal gun. So don't make them criminals. So parole system has to change too. Absolutely. And corrections officers. When we make changes in a system, particularly in New York State, we never ask the correction officer to be part of it. So they rebel against every change. They rebel against every plan, every program. Of course they would. I'm a business consultant. When I go in to fix a business, I ask the frontline people, I get buy-in, and we make change. And if we fail, we then have the people on the ground make more change. We don't ask the COs. We just tell them this is the new plan. Of course they rebel. Of course it fails. They're sabotaging it. Of course they are. They're bad guys? No, because the system is garbage. And they feel totally disrespected. They feel totally upset, totally angry. So they fight against the system. Of course they do. So everyone has to get more respect. Prisoners need more respect. COs need more respect. It should be about helping. And there are COs who actually want to correct. There are some who just want to be prison guards. Absolutely. So let them. Some want to just be prison guards. Some want to actually correct. Let those that want to correct begin actually correcting. Let them actually do it. Link them together to make an actual pipeline to get the hell out of the system. Reward the COs for people who get out and do well. Reward them for corrections, not for punishment. Reward them for correction, not just, okay, no violence on the floor today. Well done. That's not good enough. Reward them for success. Let a corrections officer go home and feel like they did something. Let a correction officer meet a prisoner in the street and be like, hey man, what's up? Let that happen. Not dirty screw. Right? Let him meet in the street and be like, hey man, what's up? I'm glad you're out. Let that happen. That's not a thing now. That's a fantasy I just made up. Right? I wish that was real. I would like that to be true. And the reason I bring this up is twofold. Number one, how am I going to fix my state with a state full of broken men? I can't do that. I need men who've been through hell and have recovered. The people I know who've been to prison, who've been to hell, and have come back and have straightened themselves out are people who can put up with anything. They are people who can fight against anything. There are people who will, if they support me, they will literally go through fire and not even complain. This is what I need to change this country. I can't do it with people who are like, they're not going to help me. They're not going to do it. I need people who have been tempered by fire and are prepared to go back into the flame again. I can't get them if they're that way. I can't. I need them. Not just that. Why the hell am I wasting all my time and money on people who could be helping me and now they're just sucking up money? Last thing I'll bring up. What's prison full of? Fatherless men. Filled with fatherless men. What is prison creating? Fatherless men. It is a perpetual cycle. So why don't we stop that part and less will start going in, right? Get more fathers back into the system. I know people go, well, these damn fathers being deadbeats. No, it's a system that destroys them. It isn't the fathers who don't want to be a part of their kids' lives. It's not true. It's a system that destroys them. The system crushes them. Now there's fatherless girls who are making bad decisions and now fatherless boys who are making bad decisions. And then they go to jail too. So the whole system has to change. I don't know. Did I go too long? I'm sorry.
No, you were absolutely wonderful. If not for my coughing attack, it would have been perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here. So where can people find you?
LarrySharpe.com, Larry Sharpe on Twitter, Larry Sharpe on everything. There was a Larry Sharpe who was more popular than me years ago. He was a wrestler called Pretty Boy Larry Sharpe from the 70s.
Yeah, I keep finding him when I'm looking you up.
Sadly, he died in 2018. Now I'm the most popular Larry Sharpe in the country. So just put Larry Sharpe. You will find me on Twitter, Instagram, all the interweb stuff, everything. I'm on it all. Just check me out there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here. And everyone listening, Like, share, subscribe, leave your comments. I want to hear them. Till next time, I'm the Rational Egoist signing out.